When a nominee hides reports from Congress, there's always a reason. And today, Elizabeth Warren lays out exactly why, and what he didn't want the American people to see.
Did you just call on me?
I did.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the panel before us today, if confirmed, will run critical components of our housing finance, commerce, and banking systems. I remain concerned with these nominees' willingness to follow the law, to focus on the necessary work of combating rising costs for families, and to serve as a meaningful check on the president's reckless economic policies. I want to focus, though, on Mr. Hill, President Trump's nominee to be chairman of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. After reports of a long-standing toxic workplace culture at the FDIC came to light in 2023, Mr. Hill, who was then serving as vice chair of the FDIC, was eager to publicly prioritize this issue. I was clear at the time that the FDIC leadership had a responsibility to fix this. But sadly, once Donald Trump became president, Mr. Hill became the acting chair. His interest in fixing these long-running problems at the FDIC seems to have faded. I have repeatedly requested copies of the monthly assessments conducted by the FDIC's independent transformation monitor, a third party who was hired to track the agency's progress on its cultural improvement efforts. Not only has Mr. Hill failed to provide these documents to Congress, he has also explicitly blocked the independent monitor from sharing those reports with us. Our job is oversight, and regardless of party, a candidate who is openly refusing to share information with members of the Senate Banking Committee should not be confirmed. It turns out we were able to get a hold of some of these reports anyway, and it becomes clear why he wanted to hide them. The reports are abysmal. The independent monitor found that parts of FDIC's action plan to resolve its cultural problems have been nullified by President Trump's policies. It found that, quote, the manner in which the FDIC communicates progress to FDIC staff causes confusions and is, at times, inaccurate. And two of the critical new offices that the FDIC set up to address its toxic workplace, the Office of Professional Conduct and the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity, offices that Mr. Hill himself touted in front of this very committee as critical to the FDIC's cultural improvement efforts, are understaffed. We now also have data that validates the independent monitor's concern that these offices are understaffed. Mr. Hill slashed the staffing levels of the Office of Professional Conduct, which investigates and takes disciplinary action against harassment complaints, by 30%. He has also cut staffing levels at the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity, which investigates discrimination complaints. At the same time, Mr. Hill obstructs progress on its workplace cultural issues. He is actively setting the stage for the next financial crisis, cutting bank examiners, tying their hands, and rolling back safeguards on mega banks. These actions put taxpayers, the financial system, and the whole economy at risk. Look, I will say it again. We may not all share the same views on what people should be doing, but at a minimum, we ought to have access to the information and the reports that these agencies are generating. And I feel very frustrated that we're talking about advancing a candidate who has refused for months now to give at least the ranking member of this committee access to those reports. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Good morning. I call the committee to order and move to executive session. Today, the committee considers...
Elizabeth Warren didn't just accuse a Trump nominee of hiding information today. She exposed the consequences of secrecy inside one of the most important financial oversight agencies in the country. And to understand why this moment matters, you need to understand the FDIC, the office this nominee is trying to lead, and what's at stake for every American who has a bank account, a mortgage, or a dollar in the financial system. The FDIC isn't just some bureaucratic agency, it is the backbone of trust in the American banking system. When a bank fails, the FDIC is the one standing between regular families and complete financial chaos. It ensures deposits, it monitors bank safety, and it enforces rules that prevent the kind of reckless behavior that can trigger national crisis. So when Warren says the nominee has been blocking Congress from seeing independent reports on a toxic workplace, understaffing key accountability offices, and rolling back safeguards on megabanks, this isn't political theater. This is a warning. She laid out something most Americans never hear about: the Independent Transformation Monitor. This is a third-party watchdog hired to evaluate whether the FDIC is fixing structural problems, including workplace harassment, discrimination, and failures of leadership. These kinds of cultural failures aren't just HR issues. They directly affect how well regulators do their jobs. If bank examiners are being harassed, ignored, or intimidated, then they can't properly investigate wrongdoing at banks. If professionals fear retaliation, or if offices that handle misconduct complaints are understaffed or gutted, then corruption and incompetence thrive. And this nominee, instead of strengthening those offices, cut them. 30% of the staff who handle harassment investigations, gone. Cuts to the office that handles discrimination complaints, done quietly. This is not the behavior of someone fixing a toxic culture. It's the behavior of someone burying it. Warren makes it clear that these aren't just personnel decisions. They affect the entire financial system. When you weaken the watchdogs inside the FDIC, you weaken the country's early warning system against financial crisis. You make it easier for megabanks to take risks. You tie the hands of the very people who are supposed to protect taxpayers. That's why Warren is linking internal culture to national risk, because it's all connected. But perhaps the most alarming part is the deliberate hiding of the independent monitor's reports. Congress has oversight authority, and these reports exist to inform that oversight. Yet the nominee didn't just refuse to share them, he blocked the monitor from sending them to the Senate entirely. That is direct obstruction of accountability. And when those reports finally leaked, the reason became obvious. They confirmed widespread dysfunction, confusion, and neglect under his leadership. Warren's message is simple. If a nominee can't be trusted to share basic oversight documents, how can they be trusted to protect a financial system that affects hundreds of millions of people? Transparency is the minimum requirement for someone seeking to lead the FDIC. Instead, what we're seeing is secrecy, suppression, and the quiet dismantling of protections that prevent the next crisis. This moment matters because it's not just about one nominee. It's about whether the American public gets honesty or gets deceived. It's about whether the systems that protect people from economic disaster are strengthened or sabotaged from within. And it's about whether powerful institutions can operate behind closed doors, hiding their failures and burying their problems without anyone being held accountable. So if watching this makes you realize how much of our financial system depends on transparency, integrity, and real oversight, then this is your moment to act. Make your voice heard. Call your senators. Share stories like this one so more people understand what's at stake. And stay informed by subscribing to Left Lens, because we break down the truth behind these hearings, expose what they don't want the public to see, and make sure you understand the policies that shape your everyday life. We can't afford to look away when accountability is being undermined at the highest levels. The more sunlight we bring, the safer the system becomes, for all of us.